Hello, 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 my younglings. So this video is going to be short and sweet. It's going to be all about your leukocytes and everything you need to know about your leukocytes for the context of your blood unit. We are going to go a great deal more in depth into your white blood cells and leukocytes when we get to your immune system, because your white blood cells are the controlling factors of your immune system. But I'm going to give you a brief overview of information that you need to know now for white blood cells, and that's going to be what this short video is about. So, blood objective number 7 is discuss leukocytes in terms of classes, structural characteristics, functions, and relative abundance in the body. Right? Short and sweet, you have 5 main types of white blood cells. If you have watched my lab video where I'm pointing these out under microscope slides, you will have gotten some information about that as well. The 5 types that you need to know are neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. That is the order of abundance that they are in your body as well. So neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and then basophils. If you need a mnemonic to help you remember that order for white blood cells, the one I like to remember is never let monkeys eat bananas. So never let monkeys eat bananas, neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. Right? Neutrophils are going to be the first ones that we discuss. Neutrophils are 40 to 60% of your white blood cell count at any given time. These guys just generally kill invading cells. They kind of just chill under your skin and around your bloodstream, and if a bacteria or pathogen or something gets inside, they eat it. They eat it like Pac-Man does the little things in the video game. That is what their job is and their function. And once again, they are anywhere between 40 and 60% of your white blood cell count at any point in time. The lymphocytes here are the ones that look like giant big eyeballs. They are your killer assassin cells. They seek and destroy specific threats to your body. So your lymphocytes, unlike your neutrophils who have like multiple nuclei that are strung together like a sausage, your lymphocytes are actually looking for specific threats and illnesses. They are looking for very specific targets, and they will ignore anything that is not their specific target. So if you would like to think of this like a military or army, neutrophils are your general army. The lymphocytes were SEAL Team 6 that didn't care about anything else they saw. They just went in and killed Osama bin Laden. Right? Your lymphocytes account for anywhere from 20 to 40% of your white blood cell count at any given time in your body. And they are called T cells and natural killer cells. That's generally speaking their job. Monocytes are these big guys here. They look like big blobby amoebas. They are the third most prevalent one in your body, and they tend to hang out in specific organs but share the same job as neutrophils. They just chill in specific organs to help with that job in those organs, like your spleen and your liver. Monocytes account for 2 to 8% of your general population of white blood cells. And they just hang around those parts of the body and do the general neutrophil job. Eosinophils are the hot pink ones. Eosinophils are hot pink, and their nucleus looks like a pair of Beats headphones. They are anywhere from 1 to 4% of your white blood cell count at any given point in time. And they specifically seek and destroy parasites within your body. So they are looking for tapeworms, blood flukes, all that kind of disgusting, icky stuff that we don't like to think about. But they're after parasites in you. Basophils are the last ones. They're the ones that are polka-dotted and spotted like a Dalmatian, because basophils are 0.5% to 1% of your total white blood cell count. But their job is to release histamine during allergic reactions and other small injuries. So they release histamine and kind of contribute to your allergies. So if you are allergic to dogs, blame your spotted basophils. Right? You can also divide these up into 2 groups, the granulocytes and the agranulocytes. The agranulocytes, A means not, don't look grainy, right? They look smooth. And the two that end in cyte, your monocytes and lymphocytes, are your agranulocytes. The other three that end in phil all look kind of gritty and grainy when you look at them under a microscope, and because of that, they are called granulocytes. So the phils, or your neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils, are all of your granulocytes to remember. Yep. And that brings us to blood objective number 8, discuss leukocyte production. So based upon the type of illness or bodily invader your body has, and based upon the information your body receives to keep up, minimal staffing to keep your body functioning, these hematocytoblasts that we discussed from your red blood cell in your last video, instead of dividing up to become erythrocytes, they will begin to divide up to become white blood cells. They will either divide up to become a lymphoid stem cell, in which case these stem cells will divide up into a B precursor or a T precursor, and you will end up with T cells and B cells from there. B cells go to live in your bones, and they mature in your bone marrow. It's why they are called B cells. T cells, like your lymphocytes, end up maturing in your thymus, which is why they are called T cells. They go to your thymus to go through boot camp and mature. The others, monocytes, and the phils, go from myeloid stem cells, which then break down into the other types of white blood cells that you need based upon your reactions. You may have more basophil and higher basophil production in the springtime when there's more pollen. If you end up eating something undercooked and you get a tapeworm, you will end up producing more eosinophils. These are all produced based upon need and feedback from your body, based upon what diseases and illnesses and problems you need to fight. Right? And as a brief overview of how your immune system will begin to function, these white blood cells are just kind of rolling along in your bloodstream until they sense an injured part of your body, an injured cell, an infected cell, release something called chemotaxins, going into a state called chemotaxis. At that point in time, that white blood cell that can sense this chemotaxis finds a hole or a brief little space in your blood vessels and undergoes a process called diapedesis, where it has stuck to the wall so it stops rolling along down and it squeezes through a hole in your capillaries so it can get through out of your bloodstream and into the intracellular fluid in between the cell space, and then it follows the scent of that chemotaxis to where the pathogens are, and then they begin eating the pathogens and fighting for your body. And that is essentially what leukocytes do as an overall job and how they respond. Unfortunately, though, sometimes your leukocytes themselves are sick. Leukemia, emia meaning of blood, leuk, your white blood cells, because leuk means white. Leukemias are a group of cancerous conditions that involve the overproduction or abnormal production of abnormal white blood cells that cannot do their job. So the leukocytes are members of a single clone, meaning they are descended from their single parent cell. They do not divide themselves to create more cells. So if their parent cell gets mutated or gets cancer or ends up sick, all of the cells that parent cell can make, as it proliferates, will also be sick and impaired because their one parent cell just clones them. And that's very bad function when you're talking about the cells that control your immune system. So this can cause other issues with your immune system, as well as problems with your normal red bone marrow function, because this is where these cells are originally formed and made. So leukemia, depending upon the type of leukemia, can be either chronic or acute. Acute meaning quickly advancing, like you suddenly develop it and it happened really fast, or chronically, which means slowly advancing, meaning it involves proliferation of later cell stages. right? And this is all the information you need to know about your types of leukemia that you may be interested in. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia is found in the lymphoid cells. That means your B cells and T cells, but it grows really quickly. That's why it's acute. And unfortunately, this is a type of leukemia that is common in children. Like, we have about 6,000 cases a year. Acute myelogenous leukemia is an acute form of leukemia that's going to affect the FIL cells. So it grows quickly because it's acute, but it attacks the FILs. But this one is common in adults and children, and there's about 18,000 cases a year. There are a few, and the chronic types of leukemia are the same. You have chronic lymphoblastic leukemia, which is the growing slow onset of T cell and B cell leukemia. This is more common in adults that are over 55 years old. So we're talking about the geriatric patients that we may see. 15,000 cases a year for that one. But chronic myelogenous leukemia is, once again, leukemia that affects the FIL cells, the granulocytes that we were talking about. It's going to grow slowly, and this one is common in regular adults, like middle-aged adults, about 6,000 cases a year. That's all the information y'all need to know for your white blood cells for this blood unit right now. Everything else, you guys are going to learn about them in depth. We have an entire unit dedicated to them and their life cycles and everything else on an individual level in the immune system. So this video was short and sweet for you guys. I hope this covered everything you need to know. Let me know if you have any questions.